y'all, my name is Heather. I'm a faith-based health coach and I help women who are tired of running on empty feel replenished so that they can live out their God-given callings with greater energy, joy, and sustainability. I want to welcome you back here, and if it's your first time, I want to say thank you so much for being here. We are actually in a series right now called Back to Basics for 2024, where we're exploring the foundational areas of faith-based wellness and the things that we can do to steward our spirit, mind, and body to stay healthy, to live well, and to ultimately have the capacity to be able to serve and step into the God-given callings that God has placed on our lives. So far, we've talked about sleep, we've talked about stress management, we've also talked about food and nourishment and how to look at those different areas through a lens of delight, simplicity, and freedom, really just being able to enjoy Jesus and enjoy the good design for us that He's given us and be able to really step into those things with new habits, new mindsets, and ultimately to have fun. Today, we're going to be chatting a little bit about exercise or movement and why this is so important to us, how we can approach it, and ultimately how to find something that you love and enjoy so that you can sustain that healthy lifestyle of exercise for the long run. I really believe that God ultimately made us to move, and when we're sedentary, study after study shows us that it's ultimately not good for us, but rather when we're moving our body, whether that's as simple as going for gentle walks or even doing more intense things sometimes like training for a race or doing a high intensity interval session, it really is so good for us. Ultimately, exercise is one of the number one things that we can do to prevent disease long term and also to stay healthy. And no matter where you're at on your journey when it comes to movement, we're going to talk about different levels today. We're going to talk about why it's important, and you can start right where you're at. God made movement to be so amazing for our bodies in that it actually helps to preserve and regulate our brain function long term so that we can keep memory even as we age and even just stay sharp and have less brain fog. He's created movement to also strengthen our immune system, to keep our gut healthy, and to actually keep things regulated and moving, which is such a cornerstone for health in general, because if we don't have regularity, it's going to affect pretty much every area of our body, and it can. He's also created movement to be something that is stress relieving and really important for our mental and emotional state, because we do live in a broken world and we go through hard things, and movement is a tool that we can use to be able to keep our stress levels regulated, to stay in a good mindset. We also chatted about how impactful movement and exercise is for our sleep at night, and how when we're choosing to exercise throughout the day, again, even if that is as simple as a walk, it's actually helping to build what's called sleep pressure or adenosine in our bodies that helps us fall asleep easier at night and sleep through the night. And so movement is so huge, and even when we're moving our bodies, that's getting our blood circulation pumping more, which is distributing nutrients throughout our bodies, and the list just goes on and on and on about how good movement is and how much of a gift it is from God. And ultimately, something else to think about with movement is we're all different. You know, we enjoy different things, and that's good, because if we all enjoyed the same thing, it would kind of be boring, you know, but there's so many different ways to move our bodies. And part of what I want to talk about today is getting back to almost the childlike discovery and fun and just delight of what it can be like to move our bodies. And we want to put off and throw off any worldly or cultural expectations around movement that I think we can get a little caught up in sometimes, because people can take it too far with movement. And I know I once did, where I went to movement for trying to perfect my body composition and trying to hit a certain number of the scale and on the scale. And it wasn't a place or an activity of freedom, but rather one of honestly bondage to stress mess that I was in for so long. But God has provided so much healing, and He can also do that for you and can help redeem our relationship with how we see ourselves, how we see our bodies, and also how we see movement, so that we can really enjoy that area of our lives with Him just like every other area, because we were ultimately made for a relationship with God, and He wants to bring freedom and joy to every area of our lives. So I want to give you 3 tips when it comes to exercise, when we're looking at how to approach this area in our lives, and ultimately how to hit a little bit of a reset button so that we can have a fresh perspective. So number 1, I want to encourage you to find something that you love, find something that you enjoy when it comes to movement. Something that was really helpful that I heard a few years ago was to think about the kind of activities that you personally enjoyed when you were a kid. You know, maybe you were that girl that loved dance class or gymnastics, or maybe you were like me, where you were more into softball, or you ran track, or you did weightlifting. I mean, we're all so different, and we have these strengths and different qualities that God made us with. And I think that it can be so rejuvenating to go back to some of that childlike joy and wonder with movement. And so with clients, one of the first places that I'll encourage them to start is, again, to think about what is fun to you, what's enjoyable. And also, I say a lot of times to just start with walking, if nothing else, because I really believe that walking is one of those things that no matter what movements we enjoy most, walking can be so healing, so good for us, just so therapeutic for our bodies, just when it comes to something that is gentle, but also that is really good to be able to just get our heart pumping, get that blood flowing, and also to get our minds more clear. And I personally love being outside in God's creation so much, and I love going for walks, and it can be even better involving people that you love and doing it with others. So take a minute, even if you want to grab a pen and paper or pull up a note on your phone, and just brainstorm a list of a few things that sound fun to you. And I want to encourage you to get adventurous, because there are so many things that we can do, and even if it might sound new or a little bit intimidating at first, it doesn't have to be, and we can really try so much and ultimately just find the thing that works for us. And so from rock climbing to rowing, from CrossFit to a dance class, from just solo running. I know my husband, he's more introverted, and he says that he just loves running so much, and I do sometimes too, for just that time to be alone with God, or just to be alone outside in God's beautiful creation, you know, but just being able to unplug and have that time for renewal. And so really think about that. There's so much that you can do, and it's so important, in my opinion, to find something that you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, you're going to actually look forward to it, and you're going to want to show up at that gym, or show up for a walk with your friend, or turn on that music in your house and dance around because you have fun with it. And that is what's going to be sustainable. And what we're after here always is simplicity and sustainability and joy. So number 1, find something that you love and that you're going to sustain. And number 2, I want to encourage you to approach exercise from a mindset of stewardship, of praise to the Lord and thankfulness, gratitude for this beautiful body that He's given us. And I know even for me, it's been a long journey of even learning to see myself as God sees me, and He's still working on me in that, just helping me have the eyes that He has for me in love. Exercise becomes so much more life-giving, and we move away from it being life-draining or boring or burdensome when we think about the fact that we get to move our bodies, and just how much of a blessing that is, how much of a gift it is, and ultimately thinking about being able to honor God through keeping the body that He's given us well, because we want to be good stewards of all that He's given us. And one way that we can do that is moving our bodies, exercising, and taking care of them, because we do know that whenever we are super sedentary, that there really is a decline that starts to happen with our health, because it's good for our bodies to move. So if you're having a hard time with exercise and movement, something that I have such a heart and passion for are working with ladies one-on-one and helping them experience a renewed relationship with movement and exercise, and being able to look at it through a fresh lens and something that isn't a burden and a stress, but an area of delight and freedom that we can step into, and that's also filled with a lot of grace, because we need different things for different seasons. So tip number 1, find something that you love that you're going to sustain when it comes to exercise and movement. Tip number 2, really start to approach the area of exercise from a perspective of stewardship, wanting to protect and preserve and honor the body that God has given you. And tip number 3 that I want to give you is to listen to your body and what it needs, and to give yourself grace. We're all different in terms of where our capacity levels are and where our health may be currently. So just for example, in my story, I actually love to do CrossFit. I have so much fun in the fact that there's camaraderie and getting to do it with others. It reminds me of team sports that I grew up in that really shaped me and was a great source of extroversion and challenge. But it also is a place where you can modify it whatever level you need to. You can be as competitive as you want to, but you can also just have something fun and new and fresh with the workouts being different every day. But I actually find that for me, personally, a good balance is to go to the gym and do some of those classes about 3 days a week right now, but then to break those days up with just days of gentle, long walks outside in between. And for you, I think it's going to be important to think about what feels good to your body, because you definitely don't want to overdo it or feel like these lies of if it's not an hour, it doesn't count. Get that out of your mind. Even if it's a 15-minute walk to the end of your neighborhood and back, that is exercise during your day. Do that 1 time, 2 times, even 3 times a day, and it's gonna really add up in time, because these are the habits that accumulate and that are sustainable, and that we can look back on and go, oh, I don't even think about this anymore. I just get to the point where I finished lunch, it's time to go on that little midday walk, I'm putting my shoes on, and I'm already out the door, and it's just something that I do each day. And it does take time to develop those habits at first, but it really is so rewarding just to be able to find something that you love and they can help you feel so much better. And for me, I know I notice so much of a difference when I have those different outlets for exercise, movement, stress relief, and joy, and when I'm not doing those things. So listen to your body. Certain things might feel better in certain seasons depending on where you're at in your healing journey, and ultimately you want it to be sustainable. And so I just want to leave you with those 3 tips today: to find something you love that you're going to sustain, to really approach exercise and movement from a new lens and a refreshed perspective of stewardship and honoring the Lord, and just being able to spend that time with Him, and even spend time in prayer when you're moving and working out. Just thank you, God, for this body that you've given me. And so I hope that this encourages your heart today. If you are interested in chatting more about this area of health and wellness when it comes to exercise, or if you want one-on-one help when it comes to nutrition, nourishment, how to eat healthy, what foods work best for you, how to figure out stress management and what refills you, how to sleep better, etc., I would love to chat. And it is such a big part of my heart to be able to help and encourage women in this area. area, and ultimately just see it as a vehicle, just like every area of our lives, where we can grow closer to God through it and we can enjoy Him deeper in more freedom and joy. So thanks so much for being here. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos coming out. We have 2 more videos in this series on detoxing that's super important and that I love to discuss, and also on community, which is a wonderful and important pillar of health and wellness. And so feel free to come back, stay tuned for those, and I hope to see you again. Hope you have a great day, girl, and know that I'm cheering you on. Bye.